Hello, YouTube subscribers. Today or tonight, whenever you're watching this, I am doing another Fox Marvel movie review. Um, Yesterday, when I did my X-Men movie video review, I did say that basically the next day, which is today, I would do not X2 X-Men United, but I would do Fantastic Four and not the Fantastic Four from the 2015 year Fantastic Four. The Fantastic Four with Chris Evans in it. And the only reason why I'm gonna review Fantastic Four, the one with Chris Evans in it, and Ben Affleck's Daredevil movie, is because A, they're not just on Disney Plus to watch. It's also because I heard a rumor we might see Chris Evans in Deadpool and Wolverine as his Human Torch, or one of the Fantastic Four from the Chris Evans Fantastic Four movie, or we could see Doctor Doom himself instead of the Fantastic Four. So either other way, we're still seeing somebody from this Fantastic Four movie. So that's why I'm also reviewing this Fantastic Four, and I heard that we might see Elektra from Ben Affleck's Daredevil. We might see Ben Affleck as Daredevil again in Deadpool and Wolverine. So that's also why I'm going to review Ben Affleck's Daredevil. And that review will be tomorrow. Basically, I will be reviewing, after this review, excuse me, I'm sorry, Ben Affleck's Daredevil movie. So keep your eyes on that tomorrow. Tomorrow I'll be doing 3 movie reviews, maybe 3. Depends on that third movie. But anyway, because tomorrow's movie reviews will be on Daredevil, Ben Affleck's Daredevil, Descendants 4, The Rise of Red, and Longlegs. I'm not sure on that last one, but I'm pretty sure on the Daredevil review and Descendants 4 Rise of Red review. But anyway, into this review. Fantastic Four, which I think that came out in 2005. Now, this Fantastic Four got a lot of likes, and over the years, it grew hate. It got so much hate now. Yes, it's still likable for a Fantastic Four film that we actually ever gotten for the first time ever as a live-action Fantastic Four film. And technically, even though now these days it's getting a lot of hate, it still, there are still people that kind of hating on it, by some points of views, because of the story plot. They still consider this one over the 2015 one, which I wouldn't freaking argue with that, because the 2015 one was freaking terrible. It was garbage. It was just not even a Fantastic Four film. They in that one, they didn't even say Fantastic Four. They just ended the movie before they could. Uh, they basically did a double. They basically did a double title card drop before the characters said it themselves. Uh, So, which I guess they thought would have been better instead of. But anyway, I think, like I said, I think this came out. This Fantastic Four movie came out in 2005. Basically, does it take place in the same universe as the X-Men? I want to, as a Marvel fan as I am, including knowing this is all done by Fox, the X-Men, the Fantastic Four, and Ben Affleck's Daredevil is basically movies owned by Fox at the time, and basically all done by Fox at the time. I want to say it is. I want to say it could been possible. There was supposed to be references of the X-Men, maybe Ben Affleck's Daredevil. Um, I also know that basically Ben Affleck's Daredevil came out before the Fantastic Four movie, but you know what? Not trying to be mean. I would have as I am reviewing Fantastic Four before Ben Affleck's Daredevil movie, I would rather do it this way. Including, yeah, I could consider Elektra to be a sequel to Ben Affleck's Daredevil movie, but I'm not. I'm considering, well, okay, I'm still considering that to be a sequel slash spin-off movie, but it should have just been a one and done movie, which I'll explain more into that in its own review. Back in 19 something, I think it was in the 1980s or 1990s, somewhere around there. I could be wrong. There was going to be a Fantastic Four movie, and it was already done directing. It just needed a few touch-ups, which to this day you could actually find the film on YouTube, watch the whole film on YouTube. Yes, did they fix what they needed to do the touch-ups on? No, it's basically still how it was after it was filmed. Is it that terrible of a Fantastic Four film? Mostly. But it's still pretty good before we got what we got in 2005. I could see why now these days a lot of people are hating on some of the story plot of this Fantastic Four, because if you look at 2002 Spider-Man movie, the very first Tobey Maguire Spider-Man movie, and comparing that to comparing the Fantastic Four to the very first Tobey Maguire Spider-Man movie, there's a lot of similar elements to that. It's basically Norman Osborn was losing his company. The board members was gonna take it away from him, kicking him out of the board. And that's exactly what happened to Victor Von Doom in this. It's basically he's trying to save his company, but the board closed him out, closed his company, kicked him out completely, and which drove more Victor Von Doom to the dark side. But in the beginning of the movie, right away, it kind of hits you where we first get introduction to the first two members that we meet in the film is Reed Richards, aka Mr. Fantastic, and Ben Grimm, which aka the thing. Um, Looking at a Victor Von Doom statue before they walk into the Victor Von Doom's company to talk to him about a idea Reed Richard has to go up in outer space, test the radiation or a radioate this re, re this chemical cloud, this radiation cloud that goes through around our planet. I think one time a year. Um, um, to hopefully use that to find a cure of diseases, hunger or hunger diseases, DNA. So, but once he actually convinced Victor Von Doom to use at least the little bit of money that he has left, the little bit power he actually does have left of his company, to go through with this, and Victor to rub it into his face on the side of showing being introduced through this way is that basically um, at, as we get not really glimpses but bits and pieces of uh, storytelling by Reed and Sue themselves is that about their breakup and how they were as a couple, before we actually see where they are. Not We don't really see flashbacks or anything. We just hear them talking about it, bits and pieces through the movie, and but we see her working with Victor Von Doom, and basically he rubs having Sue there, and she actually figured that that's exactly what he was doing, because she knows Reed and Victor hates each other. Like, to a certain point, Reed will basically can handle him being around, because to a certain point he does like Victor as a friend, as a science partner, but other than that, it's basically complete hatred. Victor, he doesn't see that at all. He just sees power, control, and he hates how Reed acts like he's so smarter than him, when really Reed, to a certain point, is. So on the side of rubbing into Reed's face that Reed is asking for his help for money, toys, um, basically to do this little science project. Um, so, and then before they go to the space station, we also find out that it was Victor himself that the suits we see the Fantastic Four wear later on in the movie as like their superhero suits they wear to the space station, that basically, hate to say it, laziest way to say, not really, kind of lazy, but not completely lazy. It was smart storytelling, basically having them wear the suits when they get hit by the cloud, because once they got hit by the cloud, it turned their DNA, which I know in the Marvel comics, in some comics like the X-Men comics, the Fantastic Four is considered mutants, and which I don't know why since it was owned by Fox, they didn't really use the word mutant when they could have took that to their advantage. But I also see why they didn't, because they didn't know where the Fantastic Four movie would go exactly. So not to just try and push and destroy the X-Men movies even more after The Last Stand. They just, I could see why they also didn't. So, but once they get hit by the cloud, not just their DNA change, but their suits also get changed. Where basically basically, as Reed explained, that for Sue it is to change into visible with her willingly when she wants to turn invisible, to catch on fire, to stretch for Ben, and for Reed is also like stretch. And for Doom, even though he was in the room that basically his space shuttle set, basically, as Reed mentioned, the shields he had in his space station that would protect them from the cloud. When reality, once they got back to Earth, we slowly realized there's something going wrong with Victor, which he hid from the cloud, or he thought he was protected by the cloud by putting up those shields, when reality he wasn't. The shields that the cloud physically put that metal inside of him, and basically turned his whole entire bones, his whole entire insides into that exact metal, and it was basically evolving from the inside out, trying to claw itself out of his skin. And instead of him using magic like he did in the comics, he basically had electricity. He was able to shoot electricity, absorb it, shoot it, out of his hands, because I guess it was the mix of the cloud ability with the metal. But basically, on the side of this being an origin for Doctor Doom and the Fantastic Four, it's basically, the way I looked at it, yes, it's a mix of both Marvel movies into one. That's what the Fantastic Four movie is. It's basically the Fantastic Four was slapped in a movie storytelling mixed from two other Marvel movies. Basically, Doctor Doom storytelling was Norman Osborn from Tobey Maguire's very first Spider-Man movie. And then the rest of the storytelling, in a certain point of view, is the very first X-Men movie. Because in the very first X-Men movie, we get parts of a real quick introduction of the X-Men, and that's exactly what we get in the Fantastic Four movie. We get a real quick introduction, and then boom, into the action. Which isn't bad or anything, but hey, also through the movie, we see them learning what they can and cannot do, like like the Human Torch could burn up as close at like as hot as the sun, could kill himself and everybody on Earth. Um, as we learn with Sue, she could create force fields, um, uh, push a wave of a invisible wave, and have it push someone back on the side of her turning invisible. Uh, Reed can basically stretch as far as he wants. They never mention what is really his limit of how far he can stretch. Ben, basically rock skin, can lift anything. He's super strong, but not as strong as the Hulk. Even though, yeah, it's been proven that the Thing can take down the Hulk at time and time again. But throughout the movie, we see a little bit of an origin story between the Fantastic Four and Doctor Doom. We see a training session between the Fantastic Four and basically how they all got along, how they all learned to get along, since basically Reed forced them to live in the basically his home is basically the future, which became later on the Fantastic Four home. Because once they all realized that they were all affected by the cloud, and for it to be easy for Reed to test on them, he had them all move in and live for a while, or at least for the moment, as they thought, for a little while, until things go back to normal, until they become a normal again. But Johnny didn't really want it to become normal. He wanted to stay hot-headed, fire-powered Johnny. And because the way he saw it was, it could be money-making, it could be lady-getting, it could be for a purpose, and why change that purpose, which that's also kind of the way Doom put it, which which Doom was gonna get married to Susan, but he was only gonna do that not out of love, but for fame, fortune, and stuff like that, to help with the company, but not really out of love, and soon knew that. So it, and honestly, it's a good movie for sure. It's a good another Marvel movie that came out in the earlier 2000s, and for it to come out in the early 2000s, same with the very first X-Men movie, you could tell that the CGI could still been worked on, but it's not that noticeable. The story plot's good. The story plot's there. There's a learning process that's there that easily to be learned. It has good action. It has a really good. overall, for it to be a Fantastic Four film, it does a good job of that. Now, the only other thing I hate are two more things. Nobody else in the group, except Susan, every time when she used her power, every time she pushed herself to the limit, just like everybody else, her, how she, just like everybody else, pushed themselves to the limit of their power. But the one thing that doesn't happen to them, as it does to her, is she get a nosebleed. And I know I'm not the only one that's questioning this. What the hell is up with that? She's the only one that, when she pushes herself with her ability, she starts getting a nosebleed, but nobody else on the team. What the hell is up with that? Because it doesn't just happen in the first movie. It also happens in the second movie. And it still doesn't happen to anybody else in the second movie. So now my second issue, which, okay, could be a good thing, could have also been a bad thing. That basically, at first, before the movie ended, it said the end, like a happy fairy tale movie, until you kind of get that or part instead of it, and for not to say or, but it said or in another different way, where basically where it shows you Doom frozen after they defeat Doom, and basically was able to stop Doom, and which they freezed him. That's how they stopped him, was basically freeze him. And which I found it cool of how they freeze him. They had basically Reed told Johnny to go supernova, which that's exactly what he did around Doom, and Sue did a force field around Johnny, and it totally started to melt him a little, and then Reed did kind of like a wave stretchy thing after being totally just kind of opened a fire hydrant or something like that, and basically had the water shoot from Ben to Reed and have it hit at Doom, and it frees him, which they had him in a crate. At the end of the movie, having him have his happy ass be shipped back to Latveria, his home state, his home city, which when his kind of partner-ish to help him organize stuff through his business of making the time for the meetings and stuff like that, so that the computer started glitching, and that the worker was having a hard time making the computer focus. He had a really good feeling while he was looking at Doom, knowing that Doom was still alive, and it could have been possible that Doom could still be alive, which that's where, after the ending part where it said the end and the screen started glitching, which that was the or part showing Doom could still be alive, which, okay, yes, either other way could be a negative, could have been a positive, where basically Fox did not know if this was going to be a good, successful movie, which it turned out to be, and then they made another one in 2007, I think. So, after all that, which I also do have to say, I truly believe this is this was not Chris Evans' very first superhero movie, because I know he did a few DC movies before he jumped over to Marvel, but I want to say this was his very first Marvel superhero movie, playing as Human Torch, obviously. So, which I do have to say, the casting for the Fantastic Four and for Doom was very good. I liked that the casting, who they choose to play Reed Richards, Susan, Johnny, Ben, and Victor. It was very good acting, very good choosing for the cast. I will say again, the action was good. The story plot was fairly good at times. But if you also want to think about it this way, by ignoring it to make it a little bit more better, universes sharing the same vibe, the same, like, universes kind of goes by a vibe, a wave of stuff, and I can't find the right words, but a pattern. Each universe goes by a pattern, and since we're like into the multiverse saga, and it's one of the universes, Fox has its own universe, you could say that it's a wave of a pattern that basically jumping off from Norman, hitting the Fox Marvel universe, and it's hitting Doom, and that's why Doom went through the same stuff. So, drop a comment down below if what did you guys think of this Fantastic Four movie? Did you like it? Did you guys not like it? What was your favorite part in it? What was your favorite joke? What was your favorite action scene? What was your favorite... Who's your favorite Fantastic Four character? Or do you like them all and it's just hard to choose? Who's your favorite Fantastic Four villain? Which, speaking of villain, they did reference Egghead, which Egghead which got introduced to be more of a throwaway character in the MCU in Ant-Man and the Wasp, but Egghead is not just an Ant-Man villain, he's also a Fantastic Four villain. Yeah, just anything Marvel, anything Fantastic Four, comic, movie, character. I know there was a few video games, like computer and game system, and other things about Fantastic Four and Marvel itself. Just drop it in the comments down below. Please hit that like button if you liked this video. Please hit that dislike button if you didn't like this video. If you're a newcomer dropping by randomly by one of my videos, please hit that subscribe button, and because I welcome all new and old subscribers to my channel to join the rest of my subscribers. I'm sorry. If you're a original old subscriber, welcome back. I appreciate you guys always keep coming back to my videos. Have a nice day. Have a nice night whenever you're watching this. Peace.